uh, the dignitaries present on the dais, Raju Shroff ji, R.G. Agarwal ji, Kalyan Goswami ji, Simon, distinguished guests sitting in this hall. First of all, I thank Vashisht ji, Prashant ji for organizing this event. It appears to be the first one in the series, and even though we keep meeting, but I think if he has been able to bring together so many people with different perspectives, that's to his credit. And sitting there, I was also listening to various perspectives. It is important for government to know all sides of the problem, the issues, and it was very interesting to hear the issues confronting India, particularly with respect to the agrochemicals sector. And we have been, as I think you would have partly heard, we have been working together, we have been talking to each other from the ministry side with the industry, not only one-to-one, but also through the other ministries also. The other two important stakeholders, probably they are not fully present on the dais, but I think some representatives are here. This is the Agriculture Ministry, represented through CIBC, and also Ministry of Environment. So I think आपके लिए ये रहेगा, अगली बार जब रहे तो बैलेंस रखने के लिए उनको भी यहाँ रहना ज़्यादा अच्छा रहेगा. Otherwise, it becomes a little difficult for me alone to defend their territory. But let me assure you, from the Department of Chemical and Petrochemical, we have been trying to project all the issues which are being raised before us, so that they can be optimally resolved for the benefit of both the industry and obviously the industry serving the agriculture sector, for the agriculture sector also, and also for sustainability, for the environment and for the human health, for which I think there are concerns being raised all the time. Generally, chemicals, when we speak, it's just not the agrochemicals alone. So whenever we talk about chemicals, there is a negative perception. So we have been discussing this thing time and again, that how do we reduce that perception which is there against the chemical industry sector as such. So we need to work very hard in that direction. Why that perception has developed, I think we should be aware of that thing also. I think there are some black sheep in the industry who have given a bad name to the sector, and in some sectors people were injecting the pollutants in the ground also. So this was the situation in some places. The government had to intervene, and for that reason we have been in some of these places we have been able to control or reduce the problem. I think where now I have myself seen some of those areas where earlier I could feel the smell, I could see that the dirt all around. I won't see it now when I go there. It is because of the efforts of the government. Now, having said so, we need to ensure that we work in a balanced manner. I think there is a problem with the chemical. Let's say if there is a problem, so-called problem, we need to understand whether it is really a problem or not. Why this problem comes up? अगर आपको बुखार आ गया तो आपको जो डोज डॉक्टर ने कही वही खानी है ना. यू नीड टू टेक दैट डोज ओनली. इफ यू स्टार्ट टेकिंग एक्स्ट्रा डोजेज प्रिज्यूमिंग दैट इट विल reduce your ailment within no time, and it could kill you also. If sleeping pill, you will take one only. If there is a requirement and as suggested by the doctor, if पूरी बोतल ही आपने उड़ेल ली तो क्या होगा उसके बाद में. So same thing is happening. I think we want quick gains, and we feel that we'll be able to do good job by having extra doses. So then it becomes a problem. Now this raises another issue. Our farmers are very intelligent. It's not that they are not intelligent. Sometimes because of the lack of training, or maybe I think as Simon was mentioning, there is a shortage of the manpower in this sector now. I think when we go to the same village after 10, 15 years, I have myself seen people, all those people who were involved in the agricultural activities, now they are not. They have gone into the nearby city and they engage some labor there. And in the same house, the house is locked, only the laborers will be sitting there and they are doing their work. Now, when we are, in a way, we have outsourced the work, the farmer who was intelligent that way, the labor who is involved in that work, that may not be as intelligent to work in the field. So we need to ensure that farmers who are getting the work done through outsourcing mechanism, this is particularly true in North India. In some places, they could be doing themselves also. I don't know about the all India pattern, but I have noticed this thing and I personally noticed it myself. I have not done any study on that aspect. Since you had mentioned there is a shortage, there is a general shortage, no doubt. But then there is a problem related to the system of agriculture also. Now we need to ensure that we have the farmers trained, and in fact they are also oriented to the requirement of the training of their people who are being engaged by them. They should not be using practices which will harm everything, whether it is the usage of fertilizer, whether it is the usage of any insecticide, anything. So any agrochemical which can harm or which can be harmful for the not only the crop, you have to have only optimal dose. If you go beyond that, your yield might also come down and it could be harmful for the product also. So keeping that thing in mind, extension activities become important. और मुझे बड़ा अच्छा लगा कि सम ऑफ आवर कोलीग्स आर एक्टिवली इन्वॉल्व. कल्याण गोस्वामी जी ने जैसे बताया वो मुझे अच्छा लगा. इस तरह की एक्टिविटीज़ में इन्वॉल्व होना बहुत ही इम्पॉर्टेंट हो जाता है. एंड when we see the kind of the extension manpower which is there in the field and the kind of training which they are having, there is a need for improvement, no doubt, and they should also be involved in the extension activities, not necessarily in the non-extension activities. Sometimes there are some problems. It is not that problems are not there in all systems. So we need to take care of that, and government is aware and government is taking care of that wherever it is required. I had specifically taken up the regulatory issues. Agarwal साहब अब चूंकि मैं अंत में बोल रहा हूँ because I'll have to react to some of those issues which have been raised. Otherwise, I won't have mentioned them here. But since he has mentioned some of the issues, I am not fully aware of the facts. So I'll not be, I think, the right person to react to that. But I think Agriculture Ministry would be, and if some representatives are here, I would request them to kindly react to that. Otherwise, broadly speaking, let me say, as Raju Bhai was mentioning, I think government is making all its efforts to ensure that we work in the right direction. And working here in Government of India also, I can assure you that the intention of government is to ensure the welfare of everyone. It is not just that, for a particular person or for a particular industrial unit, we are working at the detriment of others. ऐसी परिस्थिति में हमारा गोल अपनी डेवलपमेंट तो है ही है. हम चाहते हैं कि आगे बढ़े, हमारा डोमिनेंस रहे, हम अपनी नंबर 1 पोजीशन बना के रखें, नॉट ओनली इन द एग्रीकल्चर सेक्टर, चाहे केमिकल सेक्टर, जनरली स्पीकिंग, एग्रोकेमिकल्स. And obviously, when we talk about agrochemicals, we are talking about the benefit of the farmers and agricultural production in the country. And we all the departments, whether it is agriculture department or whether it is Ministry of Environment or whether chemicals department or fertilizer department, so everyone is working for in the interest of the farmers as well as in the interest of the industry. There could be some problems which we regularly, when we interact with the industry, we come to know. We have been raising it before not only Agricultural Ministry but also Ministry of Environment. Raju ji is aware of that, and Agarwal साहब भी जानते हैं. I think we have been interacting jointly with the Ministry of Agriculture, and also we have been raising the level at the highest level with at the level of minister also. and some of the issues which have been raised by the industry, we have taken it up with the Agriculture Ministry, and they are moving in the right direction. Some of the reforms have already been initiated. I'm really very happy to note that we are working in a positive direction. Ministry of Environment, particularly with respect to, generally speaking about the perception as such, and also the standards which need to be modified, they are taking care of that. So I'm not going individually into the details of that. We are also going to have very shortly at the level of the minister, both the ministers at the level of Environment and Forest Ministry will be having a meeting to take up the remaining pending issues. Now, with respect to one, the pesticides, there was a important issue with respect to the HS code that has also been recently notified in the budget, and Department of Revenue, I must thank them that they have been able to notify, or rather create 14 new HS codes for technical grade pesticides under chapter 29, and also 14 new HS codes for formulation of the same technical grade under chapter 38. So this is just a beginning. So we had another round of discussion at the level of at the highest level, at the group of ministers level, 2-3 days back, and we also raised or rather this issue was not just related to agrochemicals. In general, this issue was raised, that particularly when we talk about others category, a lot of things get imported in that general category. How do we make sure that we have more and more number of HS codes to ensure that nobody is able to misuse that, and everyone was concerned, and we are quite confident the way everyone represented there, particularly Department of Revenue, that I'm quite confident that it will be resolved very shortly. Now, friends, just for information of everyone, I think the colleagues here, probably they are already working with one of our important institute, which is Institute of Pesticides Formulation Technology, which is located just Delhi-Gurgaon border. It's an institute which has developed about 82 new technologies, and out of these 60 have been transferred to the industry. And you are aware that this institute is having accreditation of NABL, APEDA, CIB, and recently GLP. I think UPL is very actively involved with them, and this institute will be further expanded in 4 more states. So this is for just information of everyone. ICC के लिए ये थोड़ा आपके लिए भी news होगी. It can be disseminated to people also. If I recollect correctly, one will be North Assam, उसके बाद यूपी में कर्नाटका, and there is one more place, I think Gujarat. Yeah. So these are the 4 places where we'll be having the additional centers. So I have already, in fact, given a general direction to our CPET centers also, which will be further formalized, that the centers which were earlier focusing on the plastics as such, and when their mandate has been broadened into petrochemicals also, they should also become testing houses also, testing centers, like they could conduct tests for any chemical which is possible, and the kind of facilities which are there in IPFT, probably they should have at least in some selector centers, so they become sort of a holistic center. It is not just related to earlier plastic and now to petrochemicals. Petrochemicals also, they're still moving, still in the nascent stage, I would say. Still their focus is on the plastics only. Friends, there are few other things which I'll not discuss it right now here, but let me assure you that all the issues which are being raised by the industry from time to time, we try to resolve them to the best of our abilities. It is just that, this sector raises a lot of issues, a lot of concern, and it involves many such departments like Ministry of Environment, Ministry of Agriculture, Department of Revenue. So we need to work in close coordination with them. Working in harmony can happen only when everyone understands each other's language and the problems are projected in such manner that the other person is able to understand also. That is the most important thing when we are working with so many departments, and sometimes it could become a communication problem also. I think it is important that in long run that we are able to communicate with each other, understand each other's problems. Let's say I'll give a simple example that if somebody is saying that we should not be having EPR or extended producers responsibility, particularly for in the plastic sector. Now EPR, if let's say if we are not going to have it here, then probably we are missing the boat, in the sense that worldwide, if everyone else is having, you'll have to abide by the international regulations, the conventions which are, or the agreements which have been arrived at. So this is one thing which we need to understand. If somebody says, I'll make plastic of thin size, less than 120 micron in India, but I'll export it. I'll not distribute it here in the domestic market. So then, there also, abroad also, the same regulations are applicable. So how can you say that I'll allow it to be exported? So this issue is a specific issue which was raised by some of the manufacturers, and this was a reply given by the Ministry of Environment. So I think we need to understand the differing perceptions, the point of view of the other side also. We must raise our issues, क्योंकि अगर हम जैसे कहते हैं ना कि बच्चा अगर रोएगा नहीं तो माँ उसको खाना कैसे खिलाएगी, तो यही स्थिति है ऐसी कि अगर हमें इश्यूज ही नहीं पता होंगे तो वी विल नॉट बी एबल टू रिजॉल्व देम. We must raise issues, but I think we must understand the perspective of the other person also. And when we are working in such an environment, it's not just that कि हमारे अपने घर में ही सब कुछ काम हो रहा है. We are working in a ecosystem which has to be a perfect balance. They can't be perfect, but we must try to have that. One point which I think I must reply, राजू भाई का जो पॉइंट था वो ये पॉइंट था कि इंडस्ट्री को सपोर्ट नहीं चाहिए, उसको एक इकोसिस्टम चाहिए. आई फुली एग्री विद दैट. I endorse that. I keep telling everyone that industry doesn't need any support, financial support from you. Let's say finance is one aspect of the industrial development, but there are other aspects. The whole ecosystem has to be a enabling environment, and it has to be a positive ecosystem. अगर मान लीजिए हमने हर जगह अड़चने पैदा कर दी, road blocks are there in every step, then industry will not be able to develop. And that is what we are aiming at, and we are trying to create that kind of ecosystem. It should be a positive, a good ecosystem. उसमें ये सब ease of doing business वगैरह की ranking automatically it will rise. It will not anyway now it will not be remeasured. That has been discontinued. But despite all those efforts, if there are problems, if there are still problems, then we must go deep into those issues, not only at the national level, but also particularly at the state and the district level. And we have been getting good feedback from the industry. And it is for this reason that I have come here, just to understand the differing perceptions, the problems, the issues which the industry faces. And in the end, I have taken, I think, more time than allotted to me, but thanks to Praveen ji for organizing this event, and thanks to other colleagues from the industry who have given very good perspective about agrochemicals and the issues related to them, and my best wishes for this conference. Thank you very much.